All right, welcome back to the Big Six Podcast. Will Brinson, Ryan Wilson, John Breach, and now joined by longtime listener, Pick Six superfan, and general knower of ball, Dominic Petrella. Dom, what's up, buddy?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Dom,
doing well.
How you doing, brother?
Doing
Good.
well.
How you doing, Ryan? Good to talk to you again. Will, you don't have to answer my email now.
I don't answer anybody's email.
He wasn't going to answer it anyway.
Yeah. Seriously, I think my mom emailed me like 6 years ago, and I still haven't replied to her. She mentions it every Thanksgiving. So don't take it personally. Breach.
Will has never written back an email to me in my entire life.
He's like Geno Smith.
That's right, Breach. You and I have something in common too. You're a serial killer, and my mom actually unknowingly dated a guy who killed 41 women and was put to death in Florida.
What?
Oh my
That's
God!
That's
Was he drafted by the Packers?
Yeah, right.
I'm glad, Dom. I'm glad you could step right in from Pete Prisco's like, I love serial killers a lot, and you filled Pete's spot and actually filled it better. So good for you. You get to rank things as well. Let's start with your let's do your coach power rankings. Coaches on the hot seat for drama. We'll start with 5 and work our way to the coach on the hottest seat. Who is your number 5 coach with the hottest butt/seat in the NFL?
Who is my number 5? I can't look at my list because, as you know, I'm blind.
You're correct. He is. I'll give you this. He coaches the Cowboys.
Oh, there you go, Mike McCarthy. Yeah, I just think he's on the hot seat because Jerry Jones is. I think he's just getting itchy. He may want to get Kellen Moore back from Los Angeles after they reshuffle their, coaching staff this offseason. I just think he really loves his homegrown guy, so he's going to want to get rid of, McCarthy as soon as possible and get his own guy in there. I think it's going to be Kellen Moore. I think he really loves the offense that Kellen Moore brought to the team the past couple of years, and he's going to go after him this season when Brandon Staley's gone.
So, Dom, the great thing is that both Debo and new producer Harry made it clear that we were going to tell you the rankings of your players, and Brinson just put you right on the spot.
No, I was told I wasn't supposed to know what they were. I was told I wasn't going to find out what they were ahead of time, so it didn't spoil the rankings. And so that's. But look, I'll take the L there for
so let me
reasons.
Mike McCarthy, based on how things unfolded in week 3, and it always feels like you're just sort of teetering on the edge with getting the old Mike McCarthy back. And I feel like we saw glimpses of that. I asked you this on Sunday Night Breach. Is it more Mike McCarthy or more Dak? And you felt like it was more Mike McCarthy, especially with the sluggish nature in which they mounted that last drive that ended in the interception in the end zone. So I don't hate this at all. And number 4, just so you know, Dom, to refresh your memory, Mike Vrabel.
Well, real quick on Mike McCarthy, I just want to say with obviously got totally outcoached by a first-year coach, Cardinals. But you look at the Cowboys' next 3 games, they play the Patriots. Not completely crazy that they would lose that. Then they play the 49ers. Then they play the Chargers. As Wilson would say, there's a path. There's a path. The Dallas is 2-4 going into their week 7 bye. And my God, that is going to be a crazy week in Dallas if that happens.
So, I mean, the thing about Mike McCarthy, too, is when you think about the hot seats, right? Like, you have to take somebody off of the hot, like if you're going to, somebody else has to be put on there, in place of Mike McCarthy and sort of running through it. I mean, we don't think Zach Taylor's on the hot seat, right, Breach?
What? What are you smoking?
I'm trying to find people who might replace Mike McCarthy in the top 5. I don't think Robert Saleh's on the hot seat because Aaron Rodgers got hurt. I think he's in the clear. Bill Belichick. I'm looking at 1 and 2 teams.
Bill Belichick. He said Bill Belichick.
Not on the hot seat. I'm trying to find. Sean Payton, 0-3, not on the hot seat.
I actually had Sean Payton number 6. It took me a while to figure out somebody to put at number 5. I just put Sean Payton at number 6 just because wouldn't it be funny that the Waltons gave him whatever it is $20 million a year and then they fire him after a year. And then I also didn't put Ron Rivera on my list just because I think his hot seat is only because of the ownership change. So that's why I think he's going to be gone anyway.
Yeah, I think Rivera you could put on the list instead of McCarthy if you wanted to, just because but you're right, it is the ownership changes, the fact that Josh Harris, if they lose a bunch of games, is gonna make a change there. You just start looking through this list and 0-3 Panthers, you can't put Frank Reich on the hot seat now in his first year. I don't think 2-1 Todd Bowles on the hot seat.
I think the only argument you could put at 5 and not, through 3 weeks, I'm not sure you would want to do it. But look, Mike McCarthy coaches a 2-1 team. We're talking about him on the hot seat. Is maybe Kevin Stefanski because yes, the Browns are 2-1, But if they were to go out and lose this week against the Ravens, completely plausible, lose the next game against the 49ers, completely plausible, and now you're 2-3, then things would flip pretty quickly in Cleveland. So I think you could make an argument if you wanted to put Stefanski at 5 instead of McCarthy.
So we've got Mike Vrabel at number 4. Dom, walk us through that one. I sort of feel I think this is a tough list this early in the season, just because, again, like 1 and 2, Mike Vrabel. To me, Mike Vrabel's probably safe, but I have a hard time finding somebody else that would replace him with a hotter seat.
To me, I actually had Mike Vrabel hotter, and then I know that a lot of people love him, so I moved him down a little bit. I've never been a fan of his coaching. I just think that it's been all Derrick Henry, and we see that now that Derrick Henry's starting to slip, that he can't do anything with the defense or the offense. I know they've had a lot of injuries and stuff. I just think that he's all talk and less substance. So I don't know. I've never been a big fan of Mike Vrabel as a head coach. I thought it was weird the way he got the job from Mike Mularkey after going to the playoffs, and Mularkey just got in a pissing match with the ownership, and they decided to let him go, and they brought in Vrabel. So I know they like him there, the ownership. So that's why he has a lot of cachet there. But I've never been a big fan of his, and I just think his teams underperform for how good everybody thinks he is.
Breach here from Nashville. Go ahead.
Yeah, defend.
I mean, I
defend
think
hot chicken. Defend Mike Vrabel. Breach.
I think he overperforms. We're talking about a guy who has never been given a great roster. He's not somebody who has one of these upper echelon quarterbacks. And, it's not like Derrick Henry is willing them to victory in every single game. Certainly he's played a huge part of that. But you're talking about a coach who has, 4 winning seasons and 5 full years with the Titans. Obviously 1 and 2 this year, but the AFC South is wide open. It's just they've never had the best roster in the NFL, even close. And this is a guy who led this team to a number 1 seed just 2 years ago. I mean, we're only 2 years removed from the Titans being the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. So I think Vrabel is. Yeah, I don't think.
Are you worried? Are you worried with Vrabel Wilson that, let's say, Ryan Tannehill last year of his contract, he's gone. All of a sudden, you have Malik Willis and Will Levis, and that's all you got at the quarterback position. What happens with Tennessee then?
Well, I mean, they drafted Will Levis at the top of the second round, and they were thinking about trading into the back of the first to get him. So they like him, or at least they did. He was hurt through preseason, so he didn't play a lot. And Malik Willis still looks pretty raw. He played a ton. I don't know what we have in Will Levis, but Breach has watched a lot of that Titans stuff. Ryan Tannehill sucks. Like, there's no other way about it. Like, he is not good. So I would imagine one of those guys is an upgrade on some level. Maybe you play like 2 quarterbacks. So I don't know what the plan is, but I don't think that's going to be.
They were spraying and praying during the preseason, man.
Yeah, but the preseason it was all Malik Willis. No one else played. Will played for a little bit against the Bears before he got hurt, but you're just sort of figuring out.
You call him Will. You can't call it. I'm Brinson. But I can't be called Will. I mean,
I can call you Will if you want. But I think Breach's point is the one that I agree with. Like, I like Mike Vrabel as the coach. I think he overachieves. I think they play some of the ugliest football in the NFL, but they find a way to get it done. So I feel like if Mike Vrabel gets fired, he'll be out of a job for about 10 minutes.
All right. Number 3, Dom. This one, and now we are getting to I think 4 and 5 are hard to fill out. But number 3, we're getting to the meat of the hot seat here.
Yes,
number 3, Matt Eberflus in Chicago. They are currently trending towards having possibly the number 1 and number 2 overall picks if both they and Carolina lose this weekend. Chicago has been terrible. Pete Prisco earlier in the show pointed out it is largely the coaching staff. What prompted you to have Eberflus at 3 and maybe not even higher?
Yeah, I just think the top 3 were pretty easy, and then 4 and 5 I had to stretch to even find names. Yep. I just think that he hasn't done anything with Fields. We know, obviously, listening to your show and listening to a bunch of other shows and just being able to listen to the games, you can hear that they used Justin Fields the wrong way for the first half of last year, and then when they finally decided to let him run the ball like he did at Ohio State, they started maybe not winning a lot of games, but they started performing, and that's what they needed to do. And then this year they said, this whole offseason, it's like they had amnesia, and they said, let's go back to what we were doing at the beginning of last year, just to try and maybe they're trying to tank without actually tanking. They're trying to out Cardinal the Cardinals or something, just so they can get the number 1 and number 2 pick. But it just seems like for some reason, he doesn't like what he has in Justin Fields. They have no wide receivers. Their offensive line is terrible now, especially when they have the right tackle just went on IR. They have nothing to look forward to. The running back room is terrible. The defense, I could probably play on that defense as like a spy or something. It's just it's terrible what's going on there, and I just think that they brought him in for defense. He hasn't done anything with the defense. If anything, it's gotten worse since he's been there. The offense hasn't gotten any better. So I just think that the whole experiment with him is terrible. And who knows, maybe they'll go after Jim Harbaugh. Maybe he'll want to stay in the Midwest and go to Chicago, or possibly, Ryan Day, get one of these big hot college coaches or something like that, or go after again, like a Kellen Moore or something. When Brandon Staley gets fired from Los Angeles, when he's out of a job as offensive coordinator.
Breach, let me put this theory to you. And it's not from lack of effort that the Bears haven't gotten better. They've added a ton of guys on both sides of the ball, and they are just truly terrible. But here's my theory, Breach. Unless you're getting someone who early returns is dynamic and can motivate, and the players buy in on the defensive side of the ball, like DeMeco Ryans, hiring someone like Matt Eberflus, a defensive coach, by and large, is not going to work out. And Dom noted that defense stinks. I mean, they're terrible. And we crushed Brandon Staley for being a defensive guy, and that team sucks on defense. But I think Matt Eberflus is taking it to another level. And he's not DeMeco Ryans or Mike Tomlin or even Bill Belichick in terms of being a defensive mastermind / motivator. Knowing that in today's NFL, you almost can't hire a defensive coach unless they're truly special. What do you think about that theory?
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely the truth. Unless you look at the 49ers out there producing head coaches on their defensive side of the ball, and it just felt like those were two guys who can motivate. And this is like the Bears are just waiting to get out of this. And it stinks to have to let go of a guy when he's only been there for one full season. He's not even 3 games into his second season with the team. But, man, it does not look like he was the right choice for the job. So this seems like a good spot here. I think
it's a good rule of thumb. Like if you fire somebody named Ryan and somebody named Matt, maybe don't, or like somebody named Ryan P and somebody named Matt, maybe don't go out and hire like another Ryan P and a Matt. One, I mean, it feels like you're just doing it just to be cheap on like scraping their names off the offices or like changing out like nameplates and everything. And two, it's like very confusing for everybody involved. Like you hear routinely analysts will be like Ryan Pauls, it's like people pause because they don't remember. It's like Matt Eberflus. Maybe not. It'd
be like if we fired Will Brinson and hired Will Ferrell just because we wanted to have a Will to continue to host the podcast.
I actually posit that if you hired Ryan Reynolds and Matt Damon, this team would be better.
I can go down with that. All right, number 2, we go out to the desert, Las Vegas. Josh McDaniels. Now, I routinely, for some reason, defend Josh McDaniels' hot seat, suggesting, Dom, that he is not on the hot seat only because Mark Davis is unlikely to let him go, just because Mark Davis doesn't want to deal with it. But you've got him at number 2 on your list.
Yeah, obviously Mark Davis is cheap. We know that. He gets his haircut at the hair cutter. He likes to eat, at PF Chang, get those lettuce wraps and all that kind of stuff. And obviously he's still paying like $100 million to John Gruden or whatever he's paying him. But I just think that McDaniel, he's one of these guys. He's got like the Rex Ryan syndrome where he's a great coordinator. In this case, offense coordinator. Rex Ryan was a great defense coordinator, but he's not a good offense coordinator or not a good head coach. Once he gets in that big chair, he can't oversee the whole thing. He's not the CEO. He's middle management. He's somebody that needs to be involved with his side of the ball with his players, and he can't oversee anything. And I just think that that's really been a detriment for him in Denver. It's been a detriment for him now in Las Vegas. And I just think it's going to keep him from ever getting another head coaching job. He'll probably either go back to the Patriots after this year of offensive coordinator, or he'll go somewhere else and Bill Belichick will get him a job as offense coordinator somewhere, maybe in Alabama to replace, Tim Reese or Tom Reese.
Hey, Breach, my only complaint about this is that maybe Josh McDaniels is too low.
Too low at number 2. I mean, look, it's crazy just that he has this security blanket of the fact that he was hired by Mark Davis, who I don't think would fire him before 3 seasons are up. So in a real person's world, like Dom's and the world we live in, this ranking makes a ton of sense. But because Davis just does not going to admit that he made a mistake, it's hard to see McDaniels getting dumped, I think, before the end of next season. And he would have to go 4-13 in each of the next 2 seasons.
I just also think too, there's like this built-in aspect of being able to blame John Gruden and Mike Mayock because it's like, and it's not hard. You're like, look at what these guys did in the draft. Look at the guy did they sign Chandler Jones or did McDaniel sign Chandler Jones?
Like McDaniels.
McDaniels, that's not great for him right now. But like you look at the draft picks, it's like, look, dude, what they wasted like 13 first-round picks. What do you want us to do with this? Number one, in your hearts, in your keyboards, on fourth downs, in Minnesota, maybe not in Minnesota, but certainly in Los Angeles, the hottest seat in the NFL. Might not even be on this list if the Vikings score a touchdown because he might already be gone. Brandon Staley, Dom, checks in as your number one coach in terms of the power rankings on hot seat power rankings.
Yeah, he's doing so bad that Justin Herbert's coming out saying he wants him going. I mean, he's another one of these guys. He's a good defense coordinator. I don't even think he's a very good defense coordinator. I think that offense in Los Angeles was so good that it made his defense even look better, even with, he obviously had Aaron Donald and he had Jalen Ramsey, but he had nothing else there. He rode them to the number one overall defense and got him the job, in San Diego, Los Angeles. And I just think that he's overmatched. He totally reversed himself after being too aggressive in year one. He just went the total opposite. And he needed to, he maybe needed to cut it back 50%, but he cut it back 1,000%. It did him no good. And it's really hurting the progression. I know I like Justin Herbert as well, but I just think that what he's doing on defense and on offense there is really hurting the, maturation of Justin Herbert, and he could be even better if he had a different coach, maybe an offensive coach that was leading that team. And I just think they're going to get somebody else in there that is offensive. Maybe again, I'll bring him up again, Kellen Moore. Maybe they'll raise him up after, obviously he seems to be working pretty good with Justin Herbert. Maybe they'll raise him up to head coach after they let go of Brandon Staley. I'm pretty sure, I'll guarantee 100% that if they do let Brandon Staley go during the year, that Moore will get the interim job.
Yeah. Mike McCarthy saw that right on the wall too, and he kicked Kellen Moore to the curb. So
right.
We'll see if Brandon follows suit. I want to be on the Brandon Staley bandwagon, but Breach, it's incredibly difficult given the way things have unfolded the last year and a half.
It is absolutely difficult. You look at what the Chargers have done this season. If Brandon Staley's not their coach and their coach is just a robot who picks the most optimal decisions, they would be 3-0. I mean, they lost to the Titans in overtime, a game they probably should have won. They lost to the Dolphins 36-34, which was one of the craziest games of week one. It's already forgotten because of everything the Chargers have done and all this charging, and it's just unbelievable. And it almost happened again against the Vikings, going for it on 4th and 1 from his own 24 and failing. It is just wild that Staley just makes all these decisions that keep backfiring in his face. It's just unbelievable that keeps happening. He has horrible luck and also kind of a horrible feel of game flow, it seems like. So it's the thing is, though, like the Chargers are good, and I would like to see Staley succeed. I think he is it just feels like sometimes he's in over his head.
It feels like he's in over his head a lot of times. Like his job is to be good on defense, to make smart analytical decisions, and to manage like the game in a functional way. And he doesn't do any of those things. That is a problem. All right, Dom, this is excellent, man. Great work. Is there any parting shots you want to take at Ryan Wilson before we get out of here, or me?
Yeah, Ryan Wilson's great. Denzel's doing good over there. Him and I talk, pretty regularly, almost a couple times a week. So he's doing great.
Thank you, Dom. Appreciate the support.
We appreciate it, Dom.
What, Dom, do you have any other fun serial killer facts?
Oh, okay.
Serial killer facts. Well, the murder that he was ultimately put to death for came to light after he was put to death, that it was impossible for him to have done it. He was actually fed information by a detective who was trying to close cases down there. He did kill at least 27 people, so he should have been put to death. But the one that he was actually convicted of the death penalty for, it was impossible for him to have done it.
I don't know if that's a fun fact. That's a morbid fact, but I like it.
Is this guy like pretty famous? I mean, should we like? I assume
you can look him up. His name is Eugene Stanos.
Okay,
he was born in New Jersey and killed in Delaware all the way down to Florida. He picked up hitchhikers and prostitutes and strangled them and killed them.
All right, Breach, you got your homework for the week, buddy.
There you go.
Dive on in on that. Dom, thank you for joining. This is a blast. Excellent work on your power rankings. There is at least a 50% chance that you will replace Pete Prisco in the next 3 weeks as the purveyor of the power rankings. I wouldn't be surprised by it at all. You're much more intelligent and much less grouchy. Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for coming on. For Ryan, for Brinson, for Breach, for Dom, I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys later.